Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. And this is another special edition episode of Interview with a Flosstuber. Today, I have a super special guest. She is a friend of mine, and her name is Audrey. She is Stitchy Witch 42. She's a very, very talented stitcher and makes amazing jug journals. So how are you doing today, Audrey?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I'm excited to interview you and get to know you a little bit better.
I have to stop leaning on my table because it shakes the computer.
I know. I'm trying not to touch mine too. So.
Yeah, so hands are down on my lap now, so hopefully I'll stop bouncing.
Okay, me too. So let's get into it. The first question is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivation?
Back in early 2017, I was out to lunch with my sister at the McMenamins right across from Acorns and Threads. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me about Flosstube, and I had not heard of it before, didn't have a clue what it was. Mm-hmm. So she gave me a list of names to watch, and Vanna was the first one that I watched. And I watched for several months and was watching all these people share their love of the same thing that I love to do, cross-stitching. And I started thinking about it because I was working on a project and I hadn't seen anybody do anything like it. So one morning, sitting here at the table in my night clothes, drinking my coffee with no makeup on, with my hair pulled back, I turned my phone on and recorded a video because I wanted to share the project I was working on, which turned out to be the book cover, the Witch's Magical Book of Brews and Potions.
So cool.
And I still haven't seen anybody do anything like that. I have seen a couple people who've done slipcover type covers. But yeah, I wanted to share something
unique. Yep. Yeah. That was such an amazing piece. I remember seeing that. So
I love that piece, and I love when Mark was finishing it for me. Mm-hmm. I was literally bouncing up and down. I was so excited about that piece.
Yeah. That was an awesome, and it was like it's an outside of the box, finish.
Oh, it was way out.
Which is very cool. So the next question was a subscriber question, and they just wanted to know if you have a blog.
Nope. That is a route I have never gone down.
Yeah. Like I say, and I think I say in almost every interview that I've done, it's a lot of work. I don't have one. Trying to balance, working and Flosstube, stitching.
Yeah. I only work 3 days a week, but it's still the number of things that I need to get done around the house and the projects that I've got going. And yeah, there's not time for that.
Yep, that is completely understandable. The next question is, how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
This one is an easy question for me. I know exactly how long I was stitching because I made a birth announcement for my daughter, and she will be 41.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. As long as I know how old she is, I may not remember how old I am, but as long as I know how old she is, I know how long I've been stitching. And it was a needlepoint piece. It was a kit that I bought, and then I stitched her Christmas stocking that year. It was also needlepoint, and those were the first two things that I ever did. And I bought the kit and I read the instructions.
And you've been going ever since.
Yep.
So that leads into, what is your favorite project that you've stitched so far?
Boy, I thought about that one for a long time, and I know that there are a lot of people who've watched me who think I'm going to say one of my Alphonse Mucas.
I thought so.
Yeah, but no, there's two of them, and I'll send you pictures so you can include them.
Yep.
I probably should have sent them ahead of time. I don't know how you do this, but anyway, the first one is, I made it into a footstool cover. I found the pattern on Mystic Stitch, and it's called Trio. And it's 17.5 by 17.5 inches square, full coverage, but it is this wreath that is leaves and berries, and down at the bottom of the wreath are these three witches that are dancing, and they've got the best faces. Oh my God, I love their faces, and that is one of my two favorite pieces, but it has some flaws in it that I'm sure I'm the only one that can see.
Yeah, that's in every one of our pieces is like that.
But the other one that I have that just barely tops that one is Stonehenge, which is also a full coverage piece. Mark and I got to go to Stonehenge in 2003, and it was absolutely an amazing place to be.
Wow.
And I have all these photographs that I took while I was there because Mark taught me how to do photography, and there were hundreds of people walking around this place. And line up your picture and wait till people walk behind the rocks, take your picture, and you've got a picture with no people. And so it became something that I wanted to find, something to stitch. And it was a Google search. Found a guy who had a pattern of it, bought it, but the fabric that I would need was too wide for my stand.
Oh, okay.
So in order to stitch this, I had to literally stitch it sideways.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was a bit confused.
It was confusing, and it was also at sometimes really frustrating because stitching, you know, when you're stitching, everything is up close and it's pixelated.
Yep.
Okay. Imagine that sideways.
Right.
And you're doing blocks of color and you're not seeing what the image is, even though I was well into the image, until one day, getting really, really frustrated with it, I just turned it so that I was looking at it face on, and it was like, oh my gosh, there was depth in this image. And my mind was blown away that someone was able to take a picture of Stonehenge, create a pattern that when you stitch it, you could see the depth in the stones. It hangs across from where I stitch in the living room because it's amazing. It's just amazing.
That sounds, yeah, I have one full coverage, and that description of you have to hold it back or, you know, view it that way. And
Yeah.
you got lucky with somebody who had a pattern that turned out to be a good pattern of it. You know?
Oh yeah, you know, it was, I don't remember the name of the gentleman who designed it or anything. Like I said, I found it on a Google search.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one has to be my favorite.
That sounds amazing. And now I can't wait to see it. So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it. Starting a new project, you know, the excitement of doing it, watching it evolve and reveal itself, because, you know, you start out with a couple of stitches and then there's a blob and then there's a peak of something, which makes you want to go more into it and see what else is going to show up. And then as you're stitching it and you are seeing it reveal itself, I want to get it finished. And somewhere along the line, I will know in my brain how it's going to be finished. If it's a full coverage piece, if it's going to be framed, if it's going to be, you know, made into a flat fold, if it's going to, whatever it is, it all just kind of evolves as I'm working on it.
Right.
So it is the whole process from start to stitch to finish to completion, all of it.
It's a pretty amazing process, just the entire art of cross stitch. Like you said, you start out with some tiny little X. And some people, when I bring my cross stitch to work, some people don't understand why I do it. because they're just like, you're just making like X's. So you have to sit there and explain the whole process to them. But yeah, it is an amazing, amazing process.
I had a friend a long time ago. She goes, I just don't have the patience to do that. And I thought, that's really a sad way for somebody to describe it, because basically what they were telling me is that they have no patience.
Right.
And I find cross stitch to be very meditative.
Mm-hmm.
You get into the zen of the stitch.
Exactly. Yep. It's a calming, just, I love the whole process of it.
Yes.
So what is your favorite genre of book or movie?
Everything, as long as it catches my interest. I have been an avid reader since I was tiny. In third grade, my teacher started a project at the beginning of the year. She put a poster on the wall, and everybody's name was there, and we all had a line. And as we read a book that year, we got to take a little piece of paper and make a book cover with the name on it, so that everybody could see who had read how many books by the end of the year. At the end of the year, everybody had a line with maybe a half a dozen books on it. I had 3 lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because that was the year I discovered the library. And I could take books home from the library, and I could read them and take them back and get more. And it didn't matter if it was historical or fantasy or sci-fi or young adult or whatever. If it caught my attention, my face was planted in a book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't hear that very often now with kids, reading as much. So the library.
I know. I bought some books for my granddaughters, hoping that they would read during quarantine. My daughter just brought them back because they would rather read on their iPad or their cell phone, and as long as they're reading, I don't care.
Yeah, at least we're still reading.
That's all I care about is that they're reading. Yeah. And movies, well, Hocus Pocus.
Yep. That is one of my all-time favorites too.
Yeah, Practical Magic. Just about anything with Sandra Bullock in it, because I think she is our generation's Lucille Ball.
Oh, wow. She is a pretty amazing actress.
Well, if you think about both of these ladies, and I think they're pretty amazing ladies, they are both beautiful. Mm-hmm. They are both very talented, and they are both very comedic and just fun to watch, and good people. Sci-fi, live long and stitch on. Yeah. It's all good.
That actually leads into, what fictional place would you most like to go?
Hogwarts in the Shire.
For sure, for sure.
Yes, but it has to be in the Shire because, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Oh, anything for a day. Work out in my garden without having to stop every 10 or 15 minutes because I'm hurting so bad.
Just to be able to enjoy it. And
just to be able to enjoy it, because with the issues with my knees and my feet and my ankles, I feel rather unstable out there. And I feel like tugging weeds, sometimes I feel like the weeds all of a sudden going to let go and I'm going to go flying backwards. I'm getting good. I'm not saying the words that just want to come out of my mouth. But it would be nice to be able to just get out and work in my garden and do stuff.
I understand. I do. I don't have a garden. I'd like one, but I also have, bad knees, and I get it. My husband wants to start going for hikes, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. So I get it. Just to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy what you want to do outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Um, so I know the answer to this. I don't know if anybody else does, but do you have any other hobbies besides cross-stitch?
Mm. Well, I've said reading
Yeah,
and I've said gardening. Would you possibly be talking about me making junk journals?
maybe. They're
Oh
so
my gosh, I
cool.
am having so much fun with those. And it's a whole new world of creativity that I didn't realize I needed. I'm currently working on one it's actually for an order. And this woman gave me, I asked her questions on what she wanted, and she wanted something to do with sewing, something with crocheting and knitting, and something witchy.
Oh wow, that sounds fun.
And it's like, okay, how am I going to put that together? And I had purchased some printable images, and one of the ladies that I purchased from sent me unexpectedly all these files, which fall into the witchy category,
Very
but
cool.
not Halloween witchy, more herbal grimoire witchy.
Okay.
And the images are just absolutely stunning. So I started playing with that. And when I sit down to start a journal, I have no idea what it's going to be. And I will try to figure out what's happening on the front of it. And then it just blooms. And it just, seriously, it blows me away that all of a sudden I'm working on it. It's like, oh, I know what I'm doing next. Oh my God. And it's just this, oh yeah, I gotta do this. And yeah.
Well, I've seen them firsthand, and they're absolutely amazing. Your creativity is just awesome.
Thank you. They are evolving from the first ones that I made. They are evolving, and yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a learning process, just like finishing cross stitch. You know, when I started a couple of years ago, it was like, they're not that great. Finishing gets better. Same with pumpkin.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So that's very exciting. They're pretty cool. So, how would your friends describe you?
Obnoxious,
No.
snarky, sarcastic. Yeah. What you see, what you get. I'm honest.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So how do you prefer to stitch? Like hoop, Q-snap, roll rod, light, that kind of stuff.
Q-snaps and floor stand. I don't stitch in hand. I've done it a few times. Hand cramps.
Me too.
And I know that if you do it long enough, you get past that point, you know. But I like Q-snaps because it holds the fabric taut, and that's good. I only have the one floor stand, my Edmonds, but it's worked for me for 15 plus years. And yeah, those are what I do. I have a floor lamp next to my chair in the living room, which I usually have face down on the fabric, but there are times if I'm stitching on 36 count, then I need to use the magnifier.
Okay.
32 count, I don't so much, but then it depends on the fabric I'm stitching on.
Do you have a preferred count of fabric or a preferred type of fabric, or are you kind of open to?
I stitch on everything. You know, I started on Aida. I went to linen. 28 count is great. 32 is great. 36 is great. I have one piece of 40 waiting for me to try. Waiting. We'll see.
I start with a smaller piece on that one.
It's a blue flower pattern, and so, you know, I'll get around to it when the time is right. It'll tell me.
Ready, yeah. I tried 22 count for the first time over Mania because I only stitch on Ada, and pretty tiny. Pretty tiny.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So that one's kind of been on the back burner for a little bit. So what is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along with you when you went?
I have been fortunate in my life to get to do some traveling overseas. My favorite place was going to England with my husband, Mark.
Wow.
I was born there, military brat. And this was a trip that Mark and I took in 2003. And it was the first time that he had ever left the United States to go on any kind of trip.
Oh, wow.
And we were in England and Germany for a total of 3 weeks. And I have family in Germany. My mom's family is there. I did not take cross stitch with me because we were in the moment and I didn't think of taking cross stitch with me. But then in 2014, I went with my sister Patty. We went on a Viking River cruise in Bordeaux, France. And that time I did take a project. I took a project with me. And I was amazed how many people on board this trip, how many women on board this trip had some sort of craft with them.
Oh, wow.
You know, my sister was there with cross stitch. There were a couple ladies with needlepoint. There was women crocheting and knitting. And, you know, during the day we were out touring all the vineyards. That was fun. And, but on the afternoons or when the boat was traveling, we were all sitting out on deck.
Wow.
This crafting circle, and I just thought it was fantastic. So I highly recommend doing a cruise like that and taking a project or more than one project with you.
That's pretty neat. I know it's nice to take it for like the flights and stuff like that. Or I take mine like everywhere, even when I'm not traveling, because people are drawn to you. They want to know what you're doing, and then you can meet new people that way. So that's kind of neat. That you get that whole, you know, group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Your absolute favorite go-to?
The thing that I have found that I have to use is a clover finger guard. It's a leather finger guard that I wear on my middle finger because this is the one that I hold the needle with, and I've developed almost a numb spot on the end of my finger because I've been stitching for 41 years. But I didn't think to bring it in here, and I really didn't want to show you because it sits on my middle finger, and I didn't want anybody to think that, you know, I'm flipping them off. But it's that I have several of them now because I have them in project bags and I have them by my stitching chair. And I find that if I have to stitch without it, I stitch slower because I'm trying to move the needle from where it would normally.
Delicate. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a new one. I didn't even think of doing some sort of.
You can find them on 1-2-3 Stitch. The first place that I found it was the shop up in Issaquah.
Oh, okay. Thread needle?
Yes. That's where I found one and fell in love with it, but you can get them at 1-2-3 Stitch. It's Clover brand finger guard.
Okay. Interesting. So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
Real simple. Oh, look, squirrel.
That seems to be the common answer, is just whatever kind of draws and calls to you.
You know, there's things that I plan for and I'm going to get to them and I'm going to do it. And so it's like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. But then somebody on this place called Flosstube will show a pattern. And I was like, oh my God, just give it to me now.
That's why they call it the rabbit hole.
Yes.
All right, so we are to our final question, and I always like to save the best for last. So this is, what's the best thing that happened to you so far this year?
Yesterday, I had a different answer than I have now. But what the answer I'm going to give you is better than yesterday's answer. I missed a phone call from Mark this morning, and I called him back to find out what was going on. Mark works for a paving company, and he drives a dump truck. So he's out and about traveling from point A to point B, and he came around this intersection, and there was a woman in her car, and she waved him down, and when he stopped, he rolled down his window, and she goes, she's a caregiver for somebody, her client needed oxygen. She was delivering the new tank. The company that delivered it to her had tightened the valve where she couldn't open it. So she had left the client's place, was driving back into town, saw Mark's truck coming, waved him down in the hopes that he would have something to loosen that valve. He did.
Oh.
He went over, he loosened the valve. She thanked him profusely and went on to her client's house to deliver the oxygen to somebody who needed it. And I thought, my husband was somebody's angel today.
Yes.
So I'm the one who's going to get teary-eyed here.
Actually, I'll probably will too.
But I want to continue that. I want to tell everybody who watches this video to realize that you might not know it, but you are somebody's angel at some point in your life. And especially with what the world is going through right now, be the goodness. Be someone's angel. Don't go looking to be someone's angel. Just know that at some point or another, you are going to touch somebody in a positive way.
That is true.
And hopefully it will be passed on to the next person, and we can come out of this world in a better place.
That is such a great message to leave for everybody. You got
because
me
my
teary-eyed.
husband
Whew.
Virtual hugs, virtual
Yeah,
hugs.
virtual hugs, right? Yeah, for sure. Wow. That
Yeah.
was very powerful. That is so true. And I hope that everybody who watches this listens to you and knows that they're important and that they can help others. And
Everybody
Mark
is
amazing for doing that, for helping. Because most people nowadays won't stop. They won't stop for somebody flagging somebody down at the side of the road. So so he did a pretty amazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think so.
Yeah. Whew. Okay.
I know. I got the tears leaking here too.
I know. Hopefully we didn't make anybody else cry. I cried in my Flosstube video, and I cried in this one. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this interview. And you ended it on such a positive note, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you for interviewing me. I didn't think I'd have much to say, but I think I said more than I thought I would.
I think this was a pretty amazing interview for sure. So hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll see you all later. Bye,
Live long and stitch on, everyone.